not nurturing followers. Yeah? So some things that we need to balance among even the women. And this is where I think being humanity-centered is very important, nature-based, because now we have to make sure that the planet is safe now because of this erratic weather patterns that we already see, and values-driven. I think in higher education now there's so much into KPI, we have forgotten about values-driven, and because now the future is going to be AI, has to be STI enabled, and this is among other things. But you know, and the other thing that we want, this is before I answer your question, I'm just commenting, you know, problem is with us parents as well. When we were young, people, the parents, hello, how are you? Oh, you're so cute and all that. And what's the next question? What do you want to be when you grow up? You know, they should now be asking, what problem you want to solve when you grow up? I think we need to change, as we are the one asking this. So if we had from young, ask them, what problem do you want to solve? You will have got the impact program statement a year. You don't have to spend 4 weeks or whatever, months or whatever to tutor them to come up with an impact program. They would know already. So our education curriculum also needs to address that. At the end of the day, now we talk about impact. But in terms of R&D, we are not doing that. We are creating academic impact. Journals, you know, how many age index, how many citation. And you know, when you die, God never asks you age index or citation index. God will ask you, what is the knowledge that you have created that benefited, not just knowledge creation, that benefited the rakyat. So that means translational impact. We're talking about impact now. So please keep that in mind, that now we are in the era of impact under the post-normal times. Okay, to answer your question, how do I now want to evaluate things? Of course, surveys and questionnaires, that is basic. But you know, a lot of the times that they don't answer surveys and questionnaires, right? Any ministry send, you know it. If you see it in your computer, you also, you know, refresh it, delete, yeah. So you don't. I believe in focus group discussion. I believe in town hall. I believe in focus group discussion. Focus like now, right? We have, you know, you do the scene setting or whatever the strategic plan you want to say. Okay, say. So what is it? What's your thinking? What's your mind? This kind of information to me is more important because they are able to tell the truth. If they were just listening to you about your strategic plan, whatever, so what? They just keep listening, and most of the time they are playing with their handphone, right? And no impact. But in focus group discussion, you must now be able to get to know the truth. And the thing is, you have to handle the truth as well. That they will also tell it to you straight up, black and white, you know, so how you want to handle that and without creating any emotional disturbance, you know, so all that I think is very important to have this focus group discussion. The other one, I think a lot of times we forgot, when people resign, we never ask them why they resign. They will just tell you, I will now need to resign because of personal problem, because of personal family problem. But I think you need to have an interview or collect data on why, you know, if they want to, because if the staff comes to me and say, okay, I think I need to leave USM, I will say to my PA, give me time, at least 30 minutes with that guy. You know, and it can be a club, it can be a bar, it can be whatever, but I need 30 minutes. Call him or her to come and see me. Alright? Tell me why you want to leave the university. So they, you know, first of all, to have a VC call you and ask, that's like, wow, that's different. Okay? But the thing is, at that point in time, the environment of how you want him or her to share the problem, the lighting, the where I have the meeting, all that is very important. Whether you realize it or not. The environment where you have this interview is very important. Nobody taught me that, but I had to learn it. You know, so the lighting, what color lighting, all that is very important. Whether the person will share or the person will get angrier as they are telling you, right? So these kind of things, I think, is important because the information will make you now say, okay, maybe what I'm doing now policy-wise needs some changing, and therefore we need to now acknowledge the fact, you And of course, me being a baby boomer, of course, I will probably get angry when, after all, it's sometimes unexpected, right? The one that you train most, the one that you say this want to be the future leader of the university, that's the one decided to tell you thank you very much, goodbye. Now, of course, the first reaction I get hurt, but after that, I find that, hey, this is a normal thing for the young group now. So then it doesn't hurt so much that, now I just need to know what exactly can I do better to retain the one that is now, forever USM, for example, So what can I do to retain them? So these are the kind of things that probably you need to have in mind. But I think the most important is demographic data. How can I now run this university if I don't know data? And this data-driven is very, very important. A lot of the times, when you have the administrator, they give you a frequency bar. At the end of the day, whoever is the administrator working with me, tell me why you are seeing that data. Alright? How many women are deans? How many women are holding positions? If you don't have that information, you don't even know whether you can do gender parity at 30% or not for leadership among women, because you don't have that data. You need age-wise, because you need to know whether they are in the productive stage or they are in the senior stage. How many of them are millennials? Because that makes a lot of difference. In post-normal times, it is the millennials who do a better leader than the Gen X is now in the 50s. You like it or not, if you understand millennials' behavior pattern, they are more, they allow you to show your creativity. Hands off. They allow, they say, this is the way forward, allow you to do and show your creativity, then they look for the deliverables. Versus, baby boomer, I need to see your face in the office, don't talk to me about flexible work hours, I don't see your face. You understand? This is the lack of trust that is there, because we need to see your face. And therefore, for the generation now that believes in work-life balance, and we won't even bother about flexible work hours. But right now, everywhere else, now it's 3 days a week or what, that you come in, but the rest of the time is working from home. And the thing what you need to do is not don't talk about lack of trust. What are the deliverables that you want? To create a program that you say, everybody agree, when you work from home, these are the deliverables I want to see. So if you do that, then it's a two-way street, man, because right now, people value work-life balance. But, before baby boomers, I will be there in the office until 1 a.m. or whatever, and I will make sure who is there working for the university. Now no more. You notice or not, when you now go to the research institute, all lights are off at 6 p.m. During my time, the research institute cannot afford to have lights off. It's 24 hours before students are there working, especially for me, hardcore science. You need to see labs, the students are there doing experiments and whatnot. Now the students go back at 6 p.m. And the lecturers are there in the lab. So it's the balik code. So these kind of things now is happening. You notice postgraduates now, because they belong to the Gen Z, they now prefer work-life balance. They don't come in on weekends. I'm coming in on weekends. They don't come in on weekends. So these are the kind of things. Instead of saying bad things about that student, I now have to also understand this is the new generation. This digital netizen era, totally different in the way they do things. And maybe so that's why, hands off, allow them to show their creativity, look at the product and say, okay, and judge them then, but not before. So these are the changes that we need to see and need to understand. But having this demographic data is so very important. It will help you understand the organization better. Right? So that's why I say number one has to be data driven. And if you see differences in the data, it's important to understand why you see this difference in the data. That's where you do more interviews and do more. And then dalam focus group discussion, the interviews will now, the questions that you ask will now be there for you to find out and do better things with the information. The other one, I didn't realize this when I was about financial assistance. from the data, I now find that a lot of the young generation, young lecturers, actually no longer can cope with the salary that they get, depending on the location where they are. Because housing is now very expensive, cars are going up, standard of living is going up. Most of the time, they punya gaji, there's not much balance left. And you know, you need to have a healthy balance, because once the balance is not there, it influences integrity, ethics. A lot of things can now happen that will also disturb the way the organization is, especially when you are into ethics and integrity, then things will start to go haywire. So this is the kind of things that we now need to address. Financial assistance, to me now, it becomes very important, because the salary is like this, but the standard of living is really going up. The housing, most of them are renting, and you know, and then even worse when they have 2 wives. Right? Because the standard of living is increasing, but in Kelantan, you only need to have a salary of 1,000 in order to have a second wife. A lot more. Okay, so bukan lain, you can't even support anak dalam orang with 1,000, having 2 anak dalam to support, that's even worse. Right? But this is the thing, the law of the land doesn't jive with the standards that we have. But according to the law, you can marry 2 because of that. But this is, to me, among the other things that I think is very important to get to evaluate. And of course, having 360-degree feedback, that's also important, because that means that you need to know the people. When you do a 360-degree, you need to know everyone. Your peers are evaluating you, so at least the peers need to know about you. So I'll stop there.
Thank you so much, Prof. Asma. I think we can definitely use that for the evaluation part. How do we evaluate the effectiveness of our program? So every one of you there, most of them here are psychology officers. They're also from student affairs. They're from, even we have someone from military as well. We have so many different kinds of, different areas and different fields here, which a lot of what we are sharing here today at the forum can be taken back with you at your university, because you can think of how can I formulate now an FGD with different domains, with different departments. So all of that we're sharing, try to think about how you can formulate that when you take it back as well. Alright, I'm going to come to the next part here. Also think about what questions you want to ask our wonderful panelists, yeah? Alright, so what about Prof. Dr. Mushtak? How would you feel you can embrace the conditions of well-being and affluence within your organization?
Yes, thank you. You commented on Kelantan. Who is here from Kelantan? Gua demo. Yeah. Bini hamba Kelantan. Great. Yeah. Well, I totally agree with Dr. Asma. So okay, calm down. Yeah, I will not repeat what she has said. So I'll comment maybe on the other ways of sort of assessing the situation of well-being. I meet every staff when they are confirmed. So when they get the confirmation, they will have 15 minutes or half an hour with me, and I'll actually ask them exactly the same questions that you've mentioned, Datuk, because sometimes a bit too late to ask them towards the end, but I appreciate the knowledge, because you will get knowledge. You will never be able to reverse someone who decided to leave. So I think listening is very important. So I'm not going to talk about the surveys and the measurable things, but it's the other things. 6 years ago, I wanted to run a program to train each and every member of staff in wanted to run a program in training all members of staff in mental health first aid. There was a lot of pushback. So the academic staff said, it's not my job. I'm not trained. I don't want to even know about this. I will never be able to support a student at distress. But a couple of years ago, again, something happened, and I know some people are recording this, but I hope this stays in this room. One of my colleagues came and said, I was looking for you yesterday at like 8 p.m. and you were not in your office, right? just so happen one of these people who go very early to, before 8 p.m. But anyway, so I said, well, what happened? He said, I was sleeping, and there was a student who came and said, sir, do you work here? And I said, yes. And the student just said, I just want to tell you, I'm having suicidal thoughts. Now, the weight of you when a young person comes and declares to you that they are having suicidal or self-harm thoughts, how do you deal with that? So, the change that has happened is that because many of our students are declaring stress, declaring all sorts of things, our staff were not only open, they were welcoming to us actually training them. It's just a 2 or 3 hour training that's run by the MMHA, which is the Malaysian Mental Health Association. We work it with them. But the whole idea is to know what to do, not necessarily counsel the person, but at least who to call. What should I do? Do I just close my ears? Do I just close my ears and pretend that nothing has happened? Or do I do something about it, and what would be that thing? So I think more people now are open to do this, and this is, to me, is a sign that we all as a community are being responsible for the well-being of everyone. Because this is not just the responsibility of one department. Those who run student affairs, you know that all you need is one case of a suicidal students to run your entire department to the ground. You can't do it. It's very difficult. But for all of us to be part of this, so that part of the preventive fabric of that is extremely important. And again, it's about all of us recognizing that we have a role to play. So actually one of the things that I hope we can achieve, speaking together as parents, as administrators, as people who have responsibility for other people's well-being, is if we could just change your view on your position of leadership, because all of you are leaders, all of you. As you walk through your campus or your department, you could notice people, you could see a person who is not behaving right. So one of the key learning for me, and you're psychologists, you would know this, I used to have fear to ask people if I see them behaving differently, because I may, like if someone, I feel that someone is going to throw themselves from a high place. If I were to ask them about that, would I create suicidal thoughts if they did not have it? And the empowering training was, if a person does not have suicidal thoughts, asking them, excuse me, are you planning to harm yourself, will not create a suicidal thought. So that's a very empowering knowledge. And it's about us all being responsible for each and every one. I think if there's one thing that we could, later I'll ask you this question towards the end, who thinks that they are a leader, if you really think now, at least you have moved a little bit into that space of, because you have the responsibility and you can do something about it. And doing something about it is not necessarily changing the policy. You could choose to write a thank you email to someone. So the other thing that I want to talk about, we trained everyone in gratitude. Now you may say, train everyone in gratitude? Of course, because while we think we know how to show gratitude in a meaningful way, but how many of you have thanked people who are important in your life last week? Thank them really like you mean it, not thank you for everything. No. Thank you specifically for what things that you've done for me and how these things help me succeed and how because of you I am who I am today. So we do this as well, and at the university we created a big space, we call it the gratitude wall, where people could write notes of thank you for others or things like that. So how filled the wall is another indicator of the health of the community. I shall stop here to leave some time maybe for questions later.
Thank you, Prof. Mushtak. That's so empowering and very motivating. And it's nice to hear that there's so much awareness taken in Heriot-Watt with regards to training your staff in the animation. I feel like it's really good if everyone can actually have this training in mental health first aid and psychological first aid as well, because there's a difference there. And also, like we discussed yesterday, in mediation skills, Negotiation skills, like what Prof. Asma said about the lighting, all of that is important too. I think these are skills that every employee has, and if we can pass this over to our students also, it can help because they are going to be the future generation. And I love the gratitude training. If I may share with you a simple way to go a little one step further in gratitude training, you can actually use the template of an iMessage. So it starts off with, I feel dash when blank because blank. So you can say, I feel thankful when you empower me with different programs because it shows that you trust me. Thank you, Prof. For example, as opposed to, thank you so much for the opportunity. So I think that's a very nice way to thank you. So the next question, if I may just ask, the final question before we go to a Q&A round. How would you recommend, Prof. Asma, how do you recommend for institutions here to fill and address the gap that exists, the motivational divide and also the generational gap that exists?
Okay, I think I want to continue with this gratitude thing. I think there's a need for us to celebrate achievements and recognize contribution. I think that's very important. I mean, for example, we do some Hari Sangha Sanjung. That means all the achievements of the academic staff is now appreciated. And okay, this is the other thing. Of course, at IIUM we also have Hari Takrib and all that. But at the end of the day, the way you do that appreciation day is very important. For us, we say that if just the president or just the vice chancellor was saying thank you, maybe that's not good enough. It doesn't create the era of how prestigious is the contribution that you have done to the university, that university top management appreciate that very much. So that's why the chancellor being a perempuan should, like IIUM, should be the one, so that the whole night is turned into a prestigious night just because the chancellor is there. And the highest of the awards of gratitude is given by the chancellor. So that changed the era of how the people feel about how the university appreciate what we have done. Okay. And along the way, before that night, I also write letters of gratitude that you have done. You know, simple things that you have done, but to get a letter, special letter from the Vice Chancellor, it makes a lot of difference. It makes your day. You know, that the Vice Chancellor knew that this small thing that you have done actually is big thing to the university. You see what I'm trying to say? So this is where I train all my pegawai khas, that every aspect, from the student to the support staff to the driver to whatever that they have in terms of achievement, let me know, issue up the letters. And these will be all special colored letters that will go up, just to say thank you. And a lot of them write back to say, you know, I had a bad day and just that letter from you changed my day. You know, to know that whatever I've done is being recognized. It's a simple thing, but it can be done. The other one, all of the time when we do this prestigious day, it support, it gives gratitude to the academic staff. What about the support staff? You know, because they don't contribute to the KPI, that doesn't mean they are not important in the university. So that is why we have Sukan Antara Staff. You know, when we have this Hari Warga, which is organized by the whole university, then all the various support staff, this is the time that the support staff can show their talent. You know, because their talent in, so you have events that from sports to actually talent night and everything, and then you have competition, but at the same time it's a friendly competition, but it brings people together. The more important part is the sense of belonging to the university. That's what you need to bring up. And that, I don't know about special assistance program, but that to me is staff well-being. That every aspect of the staff in the university is appreciated. Right? So we have this Suka Antara Staff, of course, and we have, you know, the chair of LG or whatever to give away the awards and what. So that's also another important one. The other one, when you have conflict, it's so very important that we have ombudsman. You know, I don't know whether you know it, but in the university, among academic staff, the support staff, ombudsman is there to help. If legal takes over the case, you are finished. Once legal find out about it, they will open the file. And when they open the file on you, you know already, you know, kenakan pangkat, all that will be affected. right? Whether you know it or not. So it's very important you clear things with ombudsman first. And ombudsman is there to facilitate, to help you maybe solve your problem, and all that, and it will just go away because the ombudsman is a very senior person who understands. So that's one. The other one is, of course, talk about whistleblowing, right? We also need to protect whistleblowers. There's a lot of integrity issues in the university, but whistleblowing is also another part. But you must also protect the whistleblower, because if the whistleblower, you don't protect, then nobody will now come forth, and then of course there will be an investigation and whatnot. I think that's all. Oh, the other one is, of course, like I said, mentorship program, and the other thing is the training about ethics. I think it's high time that a lot of people, even academic staff, before they hold a grant, needs to be going through an ethics course so that they are prudential. And so that now when we don't have this plagiarism business, we don't even know when we did wrong. Sometimes that needs to be clear as well. So support staff also needs to know about ethics and integrity, even in the way they do things, as well as, of course, the deans have to know, because they're signing off a lot of things, and with the staff for research as well. So I'll stop here.
Thank you for that. It's really nice to be reminded about this, right? So start with gratitude, start with your family first, and then your friends, and then your colleagues, and then make it a norm in your organization. And also knowing about ethics, I think also the consideration about having an ombudsman. I think in every university, I'm sure you have an ombudsman as well, right? So that's very important for you to have that. Okay, let's go to Prof. Mushtak now. What would you say is the prevailing gap that you can identify here at Watt, and how to address that gap?
Well, I think it's just paying attention really to what you see. So for example, when I noticed that our students, or many of them, as they start, they are not sure what to do, what program to take, we came up with this program where they do their impact statement. This program now has been taken to Dubai campus, and we started introducing it to Edinburgh campus. And last year we started all the PhD students at our university worldwide start by having an impact statement. So that's actually an impact of a program that started in Malaysia and now being implemented globally. But just probably I wanted to say one more thing, because we're talking about actionable thing that you can take. And I want to talk to you about the concept of embodied cognition. Now, cognition, which means thinking, often seen as something that happens mainly in the brain. And the relationship between the body and the brain is actually a very important relationship. While the dominant school of thought that you feel good, you smile. You feel depressed and you frown. There is a study done by a researcher, his name is Paul Ekman, in the 60s actually, that shows that the body and particularly the face could impact the way how we feel. So even a fake smile, can you all please help me fake a smile? If you keep on putting your face in that configuration, that will impact the way you feel. So next time you're driving or you are doing some work and you catch yourself frowning, just fake a smile, that will help you. Now this is quite an empowering knowledge that we could impart to our students. The other bit is, when you are feeling down, please help me, look up, all of you, look up to the ceiling. So the saying goes, it's very difficult to feel down when you are looking up. And that it's in a way to help yourself. So also the way you get your, the configuration of your body will impact the way you feel. Actually, if we had, why don't we just do this? Please stand up. We're going to make some noise. I'm the guest, so I think I traveled quite a bit to be here, so I think you will indulge me. I want you to spread out a bit. Okay. So this configuration this will make you feel, keep it up, it'll make you feel good. So if you are going for an interview or something and you're feeling, not confident, find a place and the toilet and just do this. You need to prepare for the interview as well. You can't just do like this and then say, I'll get the job, right? Now I'm going to do something with you that I do with my students continuously, which really take this to a whole new level. So basically what I'm going to say, I am very loudly, I have a very loud voice, and then you will say empowered like that, all of you together, and we'll do this 3 times. I want to build the building to shake. Okay? So, okay, 3 times. Yeah, all of you, please. All of you with me. I am empowered. I am empowered. I am empowered. You are empowered indeed. You may take your seat. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof. Mushtak. I do feel empowered. So empowered. This is a wonderful technique. If you Google Paul Ekman, and it's based on this theory called the facial feedback hypothesis, and also psychoneuromuscular theory. So this is very evidence-based. You're gonna try it out. It's definitely very helpful. Just like it's very difficult to feel stressed if you're like leaning back like this. Try it. But of course, it doesn't mean that it's gonna negate every feeling. But it does help because our body and our mind is very connected. All right. Thank you, Prof. Mushtak. That was very empowering. We have now come to the part where we're going to receive questions and answers. So I know that you must have some thoughts in your mind as we were speaking just now. You must have some thoughts or questions or maybe just comments as well. So can we open to the floor for some questions? Yes, Dr. Maisara.
Assalamualaikum and good morning. My question is, how do we convince our leaders and top management to devise policies and implementations based on data and science? Because I find it difficult now to convince the leaders that whatever policies that you have and whatever practices that you have, you need it to be backed up by data and science. In order to have a sustainable policies and practices, because if you don't have data, and if you have policies based on data and science, that policies is not based on Gen Z or millennials. And then how do we convince that these data need to be updated so that because of the changing nature of work? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Maisara. So maybe any of our panelists would like to take that question first.
Because this is a difficult question, you see, Prof. Honestly, the only person that you can convince is yourself, in my view. Now, we can put the leaders in a situation where this is the obvious or the logical thing to do. I'm not sure what kind of or level of leadership that you are talking about, but let me just make a general comment. If a CEO or a vice chancellor or anyone is having their term to be for 1 year or 2 years, it's very difficult for them to be long-term kind of leaders. So that's number one. So if we, for example, we give someone a university and we say, turn this around to what? And we will give you the resources and we'll give you 5 years or something, then that person will have no choice but to actually be data-driven and science-driven. But if you tell me you are an acting head for 6 months, and I'm just keeping so why would I change the policy and go through all of that difficulties while I'm not sure I'll have the mandate to implement it? So the other thing is the KPIs. You know, if you tell me your KPI is to, I don't know, make everyone listen to you. So if I have the power over you, the easiest thing is I say, all of you give me the phones, because some of you did not stop looking at the phone throughout the time, right? Which annoys the hell out of me. But anyway, so I could have just removed all of that, and I've done it. But if you say, this is a group that you will meet again and again every day, and you will meet them for 10 years or 5 years or whatever, then I'll behave differently. So I think really it's about setting the scene in that way, so that the leaders are rewarded for the behavior that we want. Because sometimes if we don't reward them for the data-driven, science-driven behavior, it's hardly a surprise that they don't behave in that way. That's how I see it. I'm not sure it's very helpful, but I think the only thing is, Dr. Maisara, you yourself, in whatever small thing that you control, be data-driven, be science-driven, write about how is this successful, talk to the people next to you. Hopefully one of them will be the Vice Chancellor one day, or the Minister, or the Prime Minister, because this is how change happens. This is a very long, it's a marathon. So we can't wait for the leader to change. Some leaders, we just need to wait for them to leave the system. I swear, I'm so sorry, I know, in case I lose my job after this, even cancel my visa or something. But anyway, that's we are, okay?
So much, Prof. Mushtak. Yeah, I think it's nice to know that we are all agents of change and we can create a domino effect. I think this question also comes from some concerns that we have from some participants the previous day, where they're concerned that it has to be a top-down approach. When we try to empower them to start it from the bottom up, they are concerned that we cannot do that because KPT, tak kena bagi the kata putus dulu and then we will trickle it down. Maybe Prof. Asma can share with us what would you also just answer on that as well?
To me, there's a lot of empowerment and autonomy that KPT has already given. It's whether you know it or you don't know. As a leader, there's a lot of things within even though it's gated autonomy, that within the so-called gated, there's already a lot of power that is empowered by KPT to the leaders of the universities, whether they want to have it done or not. And I couldn't agree more with Professor Mushtak to say that leadership begins with self, right? So all of us are Khalifah, right? So bottom line is that within your own small group, you can be data-driven, you can be evidence-based, you can be STI enabled, you can make sure it's values-driven within your group. Because first thing, as lecturer, we all have postgraduate students. So that postgraduate student becomes the group that you are now the suri teladan, right? The role model for your postgraduate. So that is something that can be done. And if you are the dean or whatever, then there is also another leadership level that needs to be done. So if everyone was doing their job, then we're okay. But of course, there's always AKEPT that's supposed to be also instilling this kind of training to so-called future leaders of the university that should now be data-driven, that we now understand that the future of the world is not going to be STI, whether you like it or not. Because 9 out of 10 jobs by 2025, 2 years from now, is all going to be STI-based. So digitalization will change even higher education. This brick and mortar that we see is not there. So support staff also has to be trained in this format, because that is what progress is all about. So I think all of us be leaders in our own, as Khalifah, we all should make that change.
Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you. So we're going to take one more question from Dr. Zilkul.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, Datuk and Prof. Now, I have two questions actually. One is for Datuk and one for Prof. Now, the first question is, we keep on saying about the EAP, we're concerned about the well-being of the staff. But the big issues now, and it's been like, a couple of years, we're working like, 8 to 5, but due to technology, we are working like 24/7, in which these are the things that happens now. It's like after the office hours, the phone is in your hand, and the words keep on coming. That's one thing. Because, is it true that in terms of privacy, in terms of the rights of staff not to be, because as you see in let's say for example in Europe, I had the chance to be in UK, and then they stated that after office hour, it is clear, okay, you need a permission from the staff if you want to give some task for them. That's one thing. I mean, just want to get your opinion from the group. And from Prof. Now, the issue of resilience for both students and staff. We can see, as for students, the issue of resilience, kena sikit koyak, you can't actually tell them or ask them, they simply like having this so-called silence rebel in them, and as if like we have to step back, we can't, in practice. So as for staff, it's a big issue for the new or the young staff who are coming in. They have the issue of resilience too. So any comments?
Yes. So this is a new world, right? All of us are participants in. How many of you walked to school when you were kids? Walked to school? Okay. I walked as a 6-year-old. I crossed the road on my own. Now, how my kids are going to school? My wife drives them. My wife picks them back because we are so afraid of the world, right? So we have built this. Now it's a new world, and maybe it's too dangerous, and we can't. So that's a reality. Now, how can you make people resilient? One word: purpose. If you have read the work of Viktor Frankl is an Austrian neurologist and psychiatrist who was taken to the concentration camp. And in the concentration camp, he did what we call a thought experiment. He looked at people and he said, okay, who's going to die first? Well, I think she's going to live very long because you know what, she's young, she's healthy, and that person, Mushtak, he's old, he doesn't look strong. I think he won last week. And boy, was he wrong. He realized that even with that kind of difficulty, there are some young and healthy people who were withering so quickly, while some old people were just like sort of, not to say thriving, but at least they maintained. When he started talking to them, he realized those who have a sense of meaning, a sense of purpose to look forward to, they can withstand anything. Ask these kids that you say, I say something and they quiet. What is driving them? You know, what is the sense of meaning or purpose that they are after? And they will tell you, not sure, I'm not sure. So, while I'm not advocating that we simply put our children and our young people into difficulty, but I think the next best thing, and actually the deeper thing, is to reach out for what is the sense of purpose, and we need to help them find that. There is a lot of, everything I say is evidence-based. I could cite the research. Purpose is not something that you will figure it out on your own, because there are people who reach their deathbed with their music and sound. And the whole idea is now we need to do this. So if there's one thing is work with these people on purpose, because if they want to do it, they will do it no matter what. And that's why, because they have a sense of purpose for it. So that's really my only answer.
Okay, I think 24/7, right? I think during pandemic that accelerated it all. You are having, you are at home, yes, but you're actually 24/7 because people will Zoom anytime they want and whatnot. Now, even when the pandemic is almost over, you're still facing that because now you find that the Zoom work experience now has extended, and now you are attending seminars and you are having international conferences and you are having international meetings all at different times of the night, and it goes on. You know, for me, I'm always having a meeting in Washington and Italy from 8 to 10 a.m. So it goes on like that. So the thing is, okay, how to answer depend on what I am. Being a baby boomer, I need answers. That means we cannot, oh yeah, that, you know, I will be asking. And I find that the WhatsApp never answer. With the younger generation, the WhatsApp don't answer on weekends. Right? Because now I have to realize, after a while, of course, mula-mula I have a bad perception of that stuff, because that stuff is not doing their job or, you know, taking time to answer the WhatsApp. But now I find that it's probably a learning point for leaders if you don't answer over the weekend, because that's the work-life balance that you need, right? And you shouldn't be asking questions. Of course, you know, the correct thing is don't ask any more WhatsApp, whatever, after office hours lah. But that cannot be helped lah with daily boomers like me. I will always text and ask questions. But the thing is, don't answer. Right? Don't answer. I mean, I was at, you know, when I was at USM, I would do the WhatsApp and people would jawab. My PA, my pegawai khas, my legal 1 a.m., I sleep at 2 a.m., right? So 1 a.m. in the morning, I'll be asking, but because that's the only time I have left. Meetings until 8, and then after that is my time to do the signing and all that until 1 or 2. So I sleep at 2 a.m. So 1 o'clock is when I'm doing all these things, I have all these questions, and I will be texting, and they will answer. Because they have to sleep with the phone. And now they say, oh, what a relief. They change vice chancellor, now everybody sleep very well. So that depends on me. But I think, and when I was at UC, I will be texting. Okay, these are all who start. I'll be texting, nobody answer. Nobody answer. Then only I realized, lepas mayang tahajud, waktu hati buta, that's when I'm asleep that they will answer my WhatsApp. So now I have to learn to be adaptive, flexible, agile, adaptable. All that needs to be all of us need to undergo that now. Two-way street, both the staff and the leaders also need to undergo the preaching of flexible, adaptable, and being agile, depending on the situation, depending on location or whatever. But if I need urgently something, I know where to find it. So that I keep as urgent, not just any time that you want to call. Because you have to appreciate the fact that the staff needs the work-life balance, and you also need to appreciate the fact you also need to have a work-life balance. Alright, so now that I'm getting old, now I understand. And I was younger, I didn't understand very well. Anyway, that's what I can answer.
Thank you, Prof. Asma. I think Prof. Mushtak has something interesting to comment.
This is such an important thing. So first of all, I think in my view, the language of work-life balance is not helpful, because it almost indicates that work is not part of life, and life starts when work ends. And I think different people will have different styles, and I think we just need to respect the mutual kind of situation. Now, for people like me, I work for a UK university. My university meeting, they start at 4 p.m. That's when the university wakes up. So, but I accepted this job, and I'm paid to do it. I totally agree with the flexibility and agility. I just want to add one more word: productivity. I think if we are productive, then that's fantastic. The issue that I'm facing really with the current economic situation is that we are not adding productivity to the way we work, whether it's you are doing a manual job or an intellectual job, and because of this, we face with this gaji tak cukup, whatever, cost of doing business is so expensive, and that is really a real challenge for the university people and intellectual people like ours, because I think we need to improve so if we are working 24/7, are we producing more? I doubt that, So I think this is the thing, we need to convert this activity into productivity, and then it becomes, there will be some people who want to remain on 24/7, and we will be able to compensate them accordingly, and there will be some people who would want 2 days a week or whatever, and we'll compensate them accordingly, and I think this will happen. We have no choice. We have to be there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I think what we can take home from this is the flexibility, adaptability, agility, and productivity, and then having a kind of work-life integration, I think what Prof. Mushtak is saying, but with boundaries, so that with compensatory for everyone to thrive. So I don't know if we have time for any more. No, we do not have time for any more, but we would like to invite you to go to our next segment. But first I would like to thank Prof. Emerita, Dr. Asma so much, and also Prof. Mushtak. Thank you so much for being with us here today. Thank you so much everyone for also attending. So everyone, we will now depart. We will go to our syndicate rooms.